My name's Terry Lee Isaac. I'm from Selkirk First Nation. Originally, our ancestors came from Fort Selkirk, and that's where I do my tours from Minto to Fort Selkirk. The reason why I started this business was about 10 years ago. I worked at the Big Jonathan Heritage Center, and that's a cultural center that's based out of Pelly Crossing, and it's built as a replica of the Chief Big Jonathan House in Pelly. And I worked there as an interpreter for many, many years, and we advertise a lot about Fort Selkirk, and Fort Selkirk is a historic site. It's one of the largest ones in the Yukon. And because Fort Selkirk is very remote, you could only get there by riverboat. There was a lot of times where people were like, well, how do you get there? And it's like, well, nobody's really offering the service. So I was like, one of these days I'm gonna be the one that's gonna do the tours. And 10 years later, in 2020, obviously COVID hit and I couldn't do it, but it gave me more time to really think about it. And I was like, I'm just gonna do it in 2021. And like, even though the borders are closed, we're not gonna get very many visitors. Let's just open a business and they'll come. And sure enough, we got 14 visitors that year. And it was all local people, and it was just people that were like, oh, I'm so glad you offered these tours now, because we've always wanted to go to Fort Selkirk, but we never knew how to get there, and now you're offering this service, and we're so glad. My inspiration definitely comes from all sorts of people, especially my elders in my community. They taught me so much stuff growing up in Pelly Crossing. They really shaped us. They taught us the Dooley laws, and they were, taught us about history and don't ever forget who you are as a Northern Tutchone person, and taught us the 4 principal values of caring, sharing, respect, and teaching. I talk a lot about history, right back to the Beringia era. There was archaeological finds that go back to 14 million years ago. And then we lead into the churches, and then, residential school and reconciliation I speak about to visitors. And some of them are familiar with it, and some of them absolutely have no idea. So then when I share those stories, they're like very grateful that I was able to teach them those things, because without my stories, or if they visited anywhere else, all the Indigenous guides basically share those stories, and it's a part of us, it's part of our history, and it needs to be told. My message is, and the message to me at the beginning was, if you start it, they'll come. Kind of like that baseball movie, but and it's true. It's like, soon as we started our business in 2021, people were coming, and it was like, oh my God, we have our first tour booked. And then there was another tour and another, and then we're like, oh my goodness. And we were getting happy because it was happening, and we just couldn't believe it. We were just like, wow. And we're only in year 2, and like, once we offer more tours, I just feel like people are just gonna be all over us. So my message is really if you're gonna start this, just do it. Don't think about it for 10 years like I did, just do it.